Flags, pieces of cloth, and it's like the color of pieces of cloth, rather than a chauvinism based on color of skin. And so I don't like flags. And so the American flag, which is everywhere, we'll talk in a second about why it's everywhere. I don't like it, never have. But even flags that I once had a great deal of affection for, um, I no longer see the usefulness of them. I don't like flags. I don't like what they mean about nation and or state and or all of these other ideas about large-scale organization and human identity. So, my favorite flag of all time was Gaddafi's Libyan flag, which was an empty green field, just a rectangle of green. And I thought that was beautiful because I thought it was simple and no icons, just the color of vegetation. Of course, Bob Marley and the global Rastafarian movement that was carried forward first by reggae music, um, popularized the red, gold, and green, which really is the colors of the Ethiopian flag and several other African countries. And so you see those colors, red, gold, and green, have this significance that points towards Black culture and Black solidarity. But I'm not saying I don't like the flag. I just don't like flags, in a very general sense. Marcus Garvey's flag was red, black, and green. The Republic of New Africa's flag was also red, black, and green, but the bars were arranged so that the red was on the bottom. No, I'm wrong. The black was on the bottom. The red was in the middle. The green was on the top. The idea being that when the land was liberated, the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, that is, its land, the flag would be flipped over and the people would then be on top of the land. So flags can express these very positive ideas, but I don't like flags. I don't like the nation state as sort of the final stage of ideas about how people organize themselves. I think it's really obvious that what we call today, the modern nation state, whether it's a republic or a dictatorship, is an extension of what nobles used to do back, a couple hundred years ago. I think that the American flag is a unique symbol, and I don't travel enough to know whether when you go to other countries, you have to see those countries' flags so damn much. And I wonder if the American empire, as a settler colonial empire, has a certain basic insecurity about its right to the land that it's trying to counteract with this symbol that just is plastered on everything. Old Gory is just everywhere. Clothing, bumper stickers, cars, da 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 da. I remember after 9/11, it was real popular. I was living in Southern Maryland in a rural area to wrap your whole pickup truck in a fucking flag. I'm not having it. Um, we're entering in an era where we have permission to experiment with everything. We're entering into an era where the real futurism is a social futurism, reconceiving how we can do things that so far we've only done through capitalism and the nation state. And when we put down these other ideas, we can start really experimenting with what else is possible. It's not a given that what we have done is tested and rejected all of the other ways of organizing ourselves and come to this wonderful, not quite perfect condition. David Graeber wrote a book called The Dawn of Everything, and he challenges the way that human history and its development from prehistory, the way that story has usually been told has not been based on data. And what he did in what is really a really important and large book, I mean, more than 600 pages of well-sourced information about the actuality of other forms of organization, social organization that human beings have actually done over the years. Okay? So Um, I'm sorry, I'm fucking the cramp, man. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were talking about flag fatigue and the American flag in particular, and what it means to see that symbolism in so many different places. I, for one, in the American flag, see um, smallpox infested blankets given to little Indian children. There's a way in which American nationalism and American exceptionalism feeds into and and it interpenetrates this idea of white supremacy. And a lot of what people are responding to as a form of racism is from the vantage point of the people that are perpetrating the behavior, the maintaining the systems of bias, a protective form of American nationalism, the American identity, the American certainty that no one has figured it out any better than the good old USA. Part of the American mythology is the conceit that all of the really good ideas about human organization were conceived and developed here first. And what we really find is that, ideas about individual liberty, about representative democracy, were really cultural translations of behavior and social forms that Jesuit priests and missionaries had seen with the Indians. So the Jesuits were both like fascinated and a little bit disgusted by the ultra egalitarian nature, the liberalism of many of the Indian societies they bumped into, especially in the parts of Canada and North America that the French were colonizing. And I remember from Graeber's example, there was one Jesuit report of an Indian chief, a leader, who, although he could make any number of decrees for his people, couldn't enforce them. He could essentially make suggestions, and the people had to come to consensus if those suggestions were actually going to turn into public policy. And the priest that was writing said, this guy can't even tell his own son what to do.